It's a new year. 2023 is here. Putting on my list of minis. New season, let's cheers. Let's talk about the future. Let's talk about the past. Time to get on the Not Your Average Joel podcast. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Not Your Average Joel. So we are actually coming towards an end of season 3 of Not Your Average Joel. After today's episode, we only have 3 episodes after this. So definitely be on the lookout for all of those. And, today we have a really good topic that we are going to talk about once again. I'll tell everybody in a little bit what this topic is, because we've talked about this this topic before on a previous episode. But before I tell you what it's about, I want to welcome back Gary to this channel. This is his second time back here. The first time he was on here was at the beginning of this season. We talked about materialism, and there was a very good conversation that we had regarding materialism. And today we have yet another good topic that we are going to talk about. But I first wanted to welcome him back. So thank you for being here, and it's good having you here.
Hey, thank you for having me, Joel.
Yes, absolutely. And for everybody that, if you're watching this, if you're listening to this, you're not going to be able to see it. But if you're watching this, you may notice that I'm wearing a hockey jersey. It's because I'm actually going to a hockey game here after I have my this good conversation with Gary. So just letting y'all know that in case you're all wondering, like, what a random wardrobe you chose to wear today. So so I'm wearing hockey, and go Bulls. And hopefully by the time y'all see this episode, hopefully they've already won the game. So we will see. So anyways, today's topic of the day is actually going to be on working out and exercising. So you are going to say, hey, you talked about this before, Joel. And yes, we have. I actually talked about this back in season 1 with my friend Danielle. We talked about a few different questions, stuff like what are some fun activities that you can do as far as working out and exercising that maybe doesn't feel like working out and exercising. Like, what are some fun things to do? And then, like, should you focus on certain body parts of your workout, like, each day of the week? Like, should you focus on leg day one day? Should you focus on your arms one day? Should you focus only on like upper body? So just different things like that. And I thought that this would be a good conversation for me and Gary to have because Gary, as he introduced himself last time, he is in the military, and of course we know in the military that you gotta at least be in good shape to be able to do some physical things within like whether you're depending on which branch you're in. I mean, there's different requirements and all of that, and there's a lot of physicality that comes into all of this. So I know that Gary, has workout and exercise as like a big part of his lifestyle, and he's very involved with that. So I thought this would be a good time to bring him in and ask him a few questions about working out and exercising. And I think this will be even a learning experience for me because I definitely have been lacking in this area. I feel like I've had my ebbs and flows with this topic. I feel like I have good moments of where I'm actually doing workout and exercising, and then I fall off the track and then I don't get back on. So right now, if I'm going to be honest, I'm in that spot right now. So I think that this will be good to have a conversation about. So I'm actually going to go ahead and get into this first question. So when it comes to the world of exercising and working out, there's this phrase that I know everybody's heard at some point in their life. It's the phrase says, no pain, no gain. So when people think about that phrase, I feel like it can be looked at from like different perspectives and different opinions on this phrase. So I was curious, in your opinion, do you feel like this phrase can always be like a positively like motivating phrase to where it's like, yeah, it's like if it's not hurting, I'm not doing it hard enough, I'm not trying hard enough? Or do you feel like there are times when this phrase can actually lead you to do more harm than good?
Well, hey, I really appreciate that great question. So the phrase "no pain, no gain." Well, first of all, let's talk about the word pain. Pain is a very subjective term because what feels painful for me may not feel painful for you, and vice versa. So, pain is it's a broad spectrum. So, um, it's all about assessing yourself, assessing your limits, to know what is pain in the world of working out and fitness. But what I do like, what the saying I prefer is slow progress is progress. So at the same time, I like to encourage people to exert themselves while they're working out. Like when I go do my weightlifting, I like to progress by through time, and so I always encourage people just because you don't see a result today or the next week doesn't mean you're not going to achieve the result, reach your goal over time. So, like I said, slow progress is progress. Just keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah, I think that's a very good phrase. I would much rather hear that phrase because it almost comes from more of a, I guess, more of a motivating, vibe. Well, I guess when you think about it that way, like I would feel more motivated to hear that because when you think of slow progress is progress, you don't feel that pressure of like just because you may not come back having a little bit of soreness, some people may think that, well, that means I didn't like have a good enough workout. But sometimes you don't have to be sore to like have a good workout as long as you're moving and you're getting good, you're making some kind of progress compared to where you were, which is probably for me where I am is doing nothing. So like if you're at least going to the gym and doing something, even if you're not coming out of it in like soreness or pain, I think that it's still progress. So I definitely like hearing that phrase better because like you said, when it comes to pain, there are some things that you could do that you may not feel pain at all, but like I may do that same exact thing and I'm going to feel pain like for a couple of days. So it just, like you said, it's very subjective. You could feel the difference and everybody has their limit. That phrase, the no pain, no gain, it almost could feel like there's like a pressure that's put on you. Like you feel like you have to come out of your workout maybe in more pain to where it's gonna like you feel like maybe that means that you're making progress. But I feel like I don't know, I feel like maybe that's just my way of thinking it, and maybe other people may not think that way. But I think that yeah, when I hear no pain, no gain, it almost makes it sound like you're not gonna get through you're not gonna get to your goal unless you go through some painful moments or something like that.
Right, and that you make a valid point. You go to any gym, everyone has different goals. Someone wants to, do bodybuilding. Someone wants to be a runner, have the runner's fitness, or they want to do like yoga, or everyone has different goals. So the phrase "no pain, no gain," people might get pressured into overexerting themselves and increasing that risk of physical injury. So I tend not to use the phrase "no pain, no gain." I mean, I use it from time to time, but it's just you got to be careful with your audience. Um, but I prefer the phrase "slow progress is progress." It goes back to what I was saying about that book by Jeff Olson. It's called Slight Edge. Is that cumulative effort that you choose to do every hour, every day, every week, even to the seconds, all the choices you make, it adds up to become what you are right now. And what you choose to do in the future determines that, how well you reach that goal. So, you know, make that routine a habit. Like make that fitness routine a habit. It's like, you know, for example, I go to gym and I always make it a habit of doing, you know, at least 100 pull-ups, and not doesn't mean you do 100 pull-ups at we walk in a gym. It's you just do 10 pull-ups right now, do some other stuff, go take a break, come back, do another 10 pull-ups, and to the point where you could do 100 pull-ups total.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good way of thinking of that too, because I think a lot of people do they may see somebody that may be more in shape and they may see how they are currently doing things in the gym, but what they don't realize is that everybody had a starting point somewhere. Not everybody went immediately in and thought, oh well, I'm going to go do 100 pull-ups. I'm going to go do all of these big weightlifting and stuff like that. So I think people tend to compare themselves to others a little too often, where, we may see somebody, um, that is at that point of their workout journey to where they are comfortable with doing 100 pull-ups and at one time instead of having to come back and do it. So I think that's one thing that I feel like people should be a little bit more I guess patient with, and not everybody's journey is as quick as others. So, and I feel like I'm saying that even talking to myself, because I can feel like I have those moments of impatience where I may notice somebody that's in a lot better shape than I am, and then I start like I guess observing the way they do their workouts. And I think, well, I'm gonna go try to do the same thing. Then I fail miserably at what they're doing. And it's because it's like I haven't built myself up to that point. I'm trying to start from step one and trying to jump up to step 10 without doing the other things in between. So I think that's where even the no pain, no gain can come into the equation where, people think that that the no pain can, or like having pain means that you're doing better for yourself, which for me, I've learned a lesson that that's not always the case, because I have gone into the gym and tried doing so many different workouts. I'm thinking like, gosh, I just want all this weight to come off, and like I'm trying to go like overdo the workouts,
Right.
and then I end up getting very sore. And then it's like, well, I can't go to the gym until like the end of the week, or sometimes I may just wait another week. And it destroys the whole purpose of you going to the gym, of trying to, whether you're building muscle or losing weight, or both. And like realizing that you're really defeating the whole purpose, when you overwork yourself out. And I've definitely done that way too many times, and I still haven't learned my lessons sometimes, because I go in there coming out with a lot more pain, and it definitely does not gain me to getting anything to where I am getting towards my goal. If anything, I feel like I'm just not losing weight. I'm probably gaining weight. So yeah, I'm probably having pain. I'm having more pain, more gain at that point, I guess.
Sure. That no pain, no gain could work against you, because a lot of it being that we all have our egos, and when you're seeing someone who could outperform you in the gym, you tend to want to strive for that, you know, that level, even though you may not be at that level of fitness. So people tend to push themselves more than they need to, biting off more than they could chew, and that's what happens. They'll suffer some physical injuries, and there you go, and they're experience pain, right? And then that pain will work against you because it's discouraging you from going back to the gym, and you're not able to pursue that goal of I want to lose weight or I want to be more fitter, etc.
Yeah, I almost feel like in a way you're almost like a therapist between me and my relationship with working out, because that's exactly how I would describe it. I have this like unhealthy pattern of like I'll go to the gym, then I'll overdo it, then it's like I don't want to go to the gym if I'm going to have this all the time, but it's because of me not doing my part and like just starting slow. So that's been my problem for sure.
Mild to moderate pain, no mild to moderate pain, no gain.
Yeah, there you go. I like that phrase a lot better. Like I think just having a little bit of soreness is healthy, but yeah, having that terrible soreness to where it's like, oh, I can't get out of bed without being in pain, without like move, like I can't even like move anything. I'm in terrible pain. I've done that way too many times. So for anybody that's listening to this or watching this, definitely take it from me. Don't try to start off where those people that are already in very good shape are at, because it takes a process to get there. Everyone has to go through it. No, it's not easy for anybody to get to where they are. They may have a really good, body. They may have the big muscles and all that, but it's like it didn't just happen overnight. It takes a long time to get it through, and there's a healthy pattern that comes in place. So, in a way, it actually leads me to my next question. So, from your perspective, what are some of the biggest mistakes that you see people make in the gym when it comes to their personal workout? Like maybe just from observing, you may notice that the way that they're doing their workout. What are some like big mistakes that you see people make?
Okay, that is a great question. I think people's biggest mistake is not being consistent with their workout. I'm not saying they're doing one exercise and then today and then work doing a different exercise the next day. The what I mean is that they're not sticking to one plan. They're jumping from one plan to another plan within weeks or months. And here's the thing, all these workout plans, they work. It's just they all have different goals. So if you're trying to pursue all these different goals and then changing your goals, you're never going to get to that ideal result because you're just constantly changing plan. It's like switching doctors, and every doctor has different recommendations. And then you realize that you're not getting better. So stick to one plan and be consistent with it. Like I said, make your routine a habit.
Yeah, I think that's a really good answer that you brought up because I feel like way too often people do, like you said, there's a different end goal for each workout plan that there is out there. And if you try to stay consistent with one goal for one week and then the very next week you just completely flip it and like do something completely different, then you're never going to reach that first goal because then you just jump to a whole nother second goal, and then you try to change that again, and it gets all messy to where like you're never going to see progress if you just keep switching it up. And it's like you said, it's good to have consistency because if there's so much chaos within your workout life to where you're not really consistent with one set plan, I think I can see where people don't make it too far, and then that's where people start blaming not themselves, but they start blaming like I don't know, they'll probably just start blaming like the gym itself. They start probably blaming all kind of other things where they like, well, if like, well, this plan didn't work for me, so I'm gonna go to this plan. And that's kind of where the impatience comes in, where people start thinking, well, crap, this workout plan didn't work for me. I'm just gonna go do this one. This one's gonna work with that same goal that I had in the first plan, but it's like they don't realize that like different goals or like different plans have a different goal at the end of that plan. So, if people can fall into that trap of like having that inconsistency, and it could definitely make someone feel like I'm making no progress and I'm wasting a lot of money in the gym, trying to fall into this trying to work out, but then what they don't realize is they're doing different workout plans, and it will never get you to your end goal, or if it does, it's going to take forever to get there.
Right. And that goes to my at least my next recommendation my next topic is the second mistake is that people don't keep it simple. They overcomplicate their workouts. They go in, they want to do, 12 different circuits, and then over time, we can't remember, as human beings, we're not able to remember everything. And if you go in and and make your fitness plan so complicated, you're not gonna remember anything. So just I the way I do it when I go to the gym, I stick to 7 different exercise, and those are the 7 different exercises I'm going to do that day, and just keep it simple and keep it consistent.
Yeah, that's really good. I think people do tend to overcomplicate it and think that like this is the formula to get a successful body, whether it's you're trying to lose weight or whether you're trying to gain muscle, or or anything like that. Yeah, people like to overcomplicate it and put all these different formulas, and when at the end of the day it's very simple. There's just a very simple pathway of doing it. Like I start thinking, like for an example, I'm thinking of like math back in high school. Like I would think of just regular basic math that like we learned in like elementary. But then when you get to middle school, then here comes algebra, and then then like there's so many things to where you can just see that like you still came out to the same result that you would have came to if you just stick to basic math like in elementary. Like I think of like if it's like 7x plus 5 equals 24, find x. It's like, oh my gosh. But then of course I know once we get in high school it gets even harder than that when you bring in like geometry and calculus and all that. But I bring all this up because I just think of, sometimes we do just have to simply just keep it simple, just start from step one. Like we overcomplicate it by trying to think that we have to like really perfect like everything, but it's like if you just keep it simple and straight, it will take you farther than us trying to overcomplicate things and trying to fall into thinking that we have to fall into like different plans and different workouts. And but if, like I said, like you said, if there's consistency and just simplicity within our gym life, life would be a lot easier from us. We just have to stop being so stubborn sometimes.
Oh yes. And now, if you go on social media or television, there's always different workout routines, different plans where they have different meal prep plans. It's just there's so much options to choose from. I mean, just to start off, just stick to one and just stick with it. Don't try to jump from one plan to another.
Hmm. Yeah, that's some good advice. Just stick to one. Don't try to fall into so many different ones because every workout has a different there's like a reason for those workouts, and you don't want to like put too much juggle too much like working out, and then you don't realize, then you get kind of confused on what is actually helping you and what's not helping you. So yeah, just keep it at one and just go from there.
Give you a real life so in 2019 and 2020, I was deployed to Baghdad, Iraq for 9 months. And during COVID, back March 2020, they shut down our gym. So we didn't have any fitness equipment to work off of, and people's morales were dropping because they didn't have a gym to go to. But there was right next to my clinic, there was a pull-up bar, there's a bench machine, and a tire and a sledgehammer. And those were the three different exercises I did. I just did it with higher repetition because there's no other equipment to work off of. So I was doing a lot of pull-ups, doing a lot of bench press, and a lot of sledgehammer workout on a giant tire. Well, let me make corrections. Four different exercise. On the fourth exercise being tire flips. So those are the four different exercises I did for the last couple remaining months while I was there. And I was super fit because that's all I was just doing it at high repetition. I just did a lot of it.
Yeah, that's really good. I think that you even bring up another good point that I'm thinking of. Like many people think that like you have to go to the gym to reach your goals. Like which is good to have the gym equipment and stuff like that, and like different machines, and all of those serve a purpose. But it sometimes can just start simple by just doing exercises at home. There's different things that you can just grab out of the closet and use as workout stuff. Like, I can't think of like an example right now, but like I'm sure there are many things that you can just you can find within your house, or you can even just go outside and do different kind of workouts and exercises. So I think even for those that are like me that haven't gotten the gist, or like gotten it down like to a wire to where like exactly how to get to your end goal, losing weight. I think just starting at home, like trying to start with your home life and trying to find a good workout there. And then like maybe once you get it to where like you kind of know what you're doing and like what you have in mind, like and knowing your goal of like where you're trying to get to in your health. Then like so maybe the gym could come to an equation. But yeah, sometimes I think, starting from home can be a good thing, just making that lifestyle easier to apply it to your gym life, I guess.
Absolutely. You could definitely stay fit just by staying in your home and doing the basic exercise. When I was in dental school, all I did was push-ups and air squats in my apartment. And what I would do is every time the commercial comes up, I would do knock out as many push-ups as I can until the show comes back. Or and I switched up to air lunges, air lunges or air squats when the next commercial comes up.
Yeah, so there you go. That just goes to show that like you can make it work. Like even if you're not in a gym, that there are many different ways that you can get some good basic exercises in, and that kind of just goes back to Gary's point of like making slow progress, and that's leading you to making some kind of progress. It just goes to show that as long as you're getting yourself moving and you're actually trying to reach your goal by even just doing those simple things at home. It will take you a long way when you really think about the big picture of it all.
And also, if you look at prisoners, the prisoners are a lot of prisoners are big because they work out a lot. And if you think about it, in prisons, don't have fitness, they don't have a gym because there's a possible fear that the prisoners will use the fitness equipment as weapon. So
Hmm.
guess what they're doing inside their cells? They're doing these basic exercises in higher repetitions.
Yeah, that is very true, and that I think like I like that you are bringing up the word repetition. I think that that needs to be like even more highlighted as far as like how to reach your goals, and I think just having that high repetition of being consistent and doing those same kind of things, it will definitely help you get to your goal a lot quicker if you are a lot more consistent and repetitive with what you're doing instead of trying to just do it like once every other week. It is like we know that that's not going to work, and I think we just gotta get that stubbornness out of our heads, people. We just gotta quit overcomplicating things and thinking that it's so hard to work out. Like I'm never gonna get to my goal because there's so much that you got to do, and when in reality it's not that hard. We just make it harder on ourselves. We're almost our worst enemy. Like our minds can be our worst enemy when it comes to that area of our life.
Absolutely.
And so I say this all almost basically talking to myself really because I'm my worst enemy when it comes to that area. I tell myself like I don't want to go do this. I'm like I don't want to. I'm just too lazy or I'm too tired. But then at the same time, then I start complaining like, oh man, I feel fat. I feel like I want to be in better shape. So it's like Joe, like you gotta just stop. Get out of your head and just get going. Like you stop making excuses and then start complaining about you not having any progress being made is because you're not making any progress. So yeah, there's a lot of there's a lot of me talking to myself in this case. So I feel
Oh,
like that to trying to
and
do
also
better with this.
your mind plays, our mind plays tricks with us a lot of times. It tell you one thing and tell you something different, the opposite, then a second later.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it is a mind game. It's like constantly going on with this topic specifically in my life. For the past probably ever since I was like really ever since a teenager, I've always had this like struggle with my body to where it ties into like insecurities and stuff like that. But like I can never seem to find the right thing to do. Like I feel like in 2020, I feel like I had it down because I was on the treadmill and like trying to lose weight that way. And it worked. But then I feel like my body got so used to just doing one exercise that like I was at a plateau. Like I was just kind of not what never made it to my goal of getting down to 200. Very close though, but I was like kind of stuck at that plateau. And that's kind of how I am now, even though I'm not working out, but I've been trying to change like my eating habits. And like I know that's a big part of like losing weight too. But since we're talking about working out and exercising, like I haven't done none of that. So like I feel like I'm kind of at a plateau, even trying to do the strategy of no workout, no exercise. So just trying to find that balance is always been a struggle for me. And, hopefully even after having this topic done a second time, maybe I can get it in my head that like, you gotta do the work. Like you stop complaining about being fat or like being like you're out of shape when you can easily just do the stuff even here from home. Like because I work from home after work, I can just simply just do these things. Um I'm just kind of like hard headed when it comes to that stuff, I guess.
Yeah, well, you can start by having a notepad and just write out what you want to do, what you need to tell yourself what you need to do each day. Monday do 100 push-ups in that day, 100 sit-ups, 100 air squats, and just write it down on your notepad and just remind yourself, okay, I gotta get this done. And it doesn't have to be 100 push-ups in one sitting. You just do 10 this hour, do 10 another hour, until you reach that 100. And that's very manageable.
Yeah, yeah, it really is. Like, I think the way I set it up in my mind is kind of like what we were talking about earlier. Like, how you said you go to the gym and you could do 100, pull-ups, but in my mind, I'm almost thinking like I have to do it all in one time. But it's like I just got to keep reminding myself like you can just do it throughout the day and still reach that same goal. It's just I just seems like it just will not like sit in my mind and like I had to constantly remind myself that like you got to realize that like you can reach those same exact goals that Gary does 100 pull-ups, but like you can do the same thing and just do 10 at a time and come back to it and reach that same exact goal. So it's like it's just something I got to constantly remind myself. I'm too I get bad at those kind of things where I just assume that like you got to do it all in one moment. Like you can't just stop and then like do it a few hours later. So
Right. And
so
you run, right? You run on a treadmill.
yeah, yes, we have a treadmill here at the house. So I
Okay.
got a treadmill to where I have easy access to at least.
Right. What's your goal, if you don't mind me asking? How
So
long do you, what is the distance that you run?
well, as of right now, I'm not doing it, but at one point I was running like 4 miles a day.
Okay. Why don't you try running 2 miles in the morning and 2 miles in the afternoon?
Yeah,
And instead of doing a jog, you do a 2 mile sprint.
yeah, yeah, that might yeah, that's a good, like starting point to have. I feel like, see another thing that I feel like I start trying to make excuses with. I already as soon as you said that, I thought of an excuse and I'm about to tell myself, Joel, don't make excuses. But like I have asthma. So like that's one thing that like I start trying to like make an excuse for that like, oh man, am I gonna pass out on the treadmill? But it's like if I just have a consistent run to where like I'm not overdoing it or overexerting myself to where I'm not getting enough oxygen in, I feel like it can easily be done. I just gotta actually do it, motivate myself to actually do it.
Yeah, yeah, that's really doable. Yeah, as long as you're like make you set your goals to be a realistic goal and make it manageable. Divide and
Yeah.
conquer.
Yeah, that's a good way of thinking of it. Divide and conquer. Just it can easily be done, and it can be my reality if I actually really give my everything to it. Like really put it all in and make the effort to make it work. So, I think that even that is going to motivate me to try to do better, especially this week because before we got on this call, I was telling Gary that. I've gained a few pounds, and a lot of it is due to like some of the good holiday food that we had here over Easter, which hopefully everybody had a good Easter. I know I did, and the food was really good and had some good leftovers. But I'm now seeing the results of it on a scale, and I do not like it. And so, So it's
Yeah,
it's time to get back on track.
vote.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I guess the next question that comes to mind is like, do you feel like there is like a certain like proper etiquette that people should fall in line with when it comes to like being at the gym? Like, I guess examples that I'm thinking of is like I've noticed like on social media, a lot of people like to record them working out. Some people don't like that, like people that are around them, surrounding them. They start complaining about like, you don't need to be recording like yourself working out or stuff like that. And then also even things like what do you wear at the gym? Or and even another thing is like how do you interact with other people at the gym? So I know I kind of gave you a pretty loaded question, but like I guess like a general question out of that is like what are some like proper like etiquettes or is there proper etiquettes that people should, fall in line with when it comes to being in the gym?
Right. Since the gym is a public space, you got to be able to be willing to share your equipments with other people and not hoard all the equipment to yourself. So that's one thing. Number two, just like we mentioned before, everybody has different goal. So, like be respectful of the other people. Just because you want to talk, have a 1 hour with with a stranger doesn't mean they appreciate that. Like leave them alone. A lot of times people have their headset on while they're working out. So, um, you don't have to. I had this guy in the gym. He always wants to start a conversation, and every time he starts a conversation, it would drag on for an hour and a half. And I try to avoid him because he would just stop me from doing my workout. I don't really mind how people dress. I mean, there's some people who come in with their work clothes. Some people come in their, in their pajamas. I'm okay with that. As long as they're comfortable with it, that's fine. It's just kind of like the same etiquette as you do in any public settings. To be, respect people's spaces and try not to draw attention to yourself.
Yeah, those are all some really good advice to give. Like the first one that you mentioned being sharing. I think, people do forget that like, this isn't like just your stuff. Like this is other people, all the other members of the gym. There's, this is stuff that they get to use too, and they get to have access to as well. And, some people think, well, these are the ones I've always used. These are the dumbbells I've always used, or I've always used this machine. But it's like, okay, well, maybe other people use that machine too, but like they maybe didn't come in on a Monday that you're here, but then like they may use this machine on a Tuesday, but they had to come in today on a Monday because of maybe they had something going on the day that they usually come in on a Tuesday. So, people can be a little greedy, a little selfish with the gym equipment. I've seen that before where, people the little bit of the gym time that I've actually gone to, I've seen where people have done that, like where they'll like try to keep everything in their area and like don't come grab none of this, basically they don't say it, but they're basically their body language is like, you stay back, get away from all of this gym stuff. So, you go use all those other stuff. There's plenty of equipment, plenty of machines, but yeah, people do need to realize that it's not all about them.
Oh, but for some people, it's all about them. You know,
Very true. Yeah,
yeah,
people do have a pretty big, like almost like a self-worshiping kind of like attitude about themselves sometimes. People do have a little bit more like a braggy kind of attitude where like, hey, look at me, like I'm coming in and then they can be very, the way that people, are in the gym, like you can tell those that are very prideful, you can kind of spot out those pretty quick. And those are the ones that I try to stay away from because I feel like those people will be the type that want to try to like intimidate others. And it's like, yeah, I'm just gonna keep to myself over here. Like, thanks, keep your distance over there.
right. Well, you could do that by not taking a shower for days, and
Yeah, there you
well,
go.
That's another thing is proper personal hygiene in the gym. Don't go in smelling like you never taken a shower.
Yeah, yeah, because we know that once you like starting off clean, like with a good hygiene and like, and we all know that when you work out, you're gonna sweat, and more than likely you may eventually by the end of your workout, you may realize, okay, well, I need to go take a shower, you go take a bath or whatever. So, but don't come in starting off smelling like BO. That's never a good start.
And always wipe off your equipment like before and after use, for consideration of not only yourself but for others.
Yeah, that's very true. Too often I've seen it where people just put, are done with something and then they just kind of walk away from it. But it's like you don't realize that can spread germs. Like, you got to be very mindful of those kind of things because you never know. Even if you're not the one that's sick, you may be carrying something that somebody may have had at some point. And also just nobody wants to be like holding on to the same like stuff that your sweaty hands and palms and all of that has been touching. So, it just, yeah, it's easier. It would just be easier if we were just more mindful in those situations, like actually, cleaning up behind us and like leaving it how we picked it up, and or whether it's the dumbbells or weights or something like that. People can be very forgetful in that way. So yeah, just a good reminder to clean up after yourself.
Yep. Yeah, most
So
certainly.
yeah, so that's good. And then as far as attire, yeah, like you said, as long as you're comfortable in what you're wearing, I think that's good. I think that's a good thing. Just, I feel like you did bring up a point about like bringing attention to yourself. I think that could even be a good point too, because like sometimes maybe some people may wear certain attire that can that could be a little revealing. So I think people just need to have a level of modesty, not to where like you have to come in wearing like a whole bodysuit head to toe, but more of just realizing that like you don't want to draw people's attention away because they see your booty cheeks over there work trying to work out over there. So it's like just have a level of respect for other people. I think that's a good point to bring up.
Right. I mean, it's not inappropriate to be drawing attention to yourself. It's just a little bit of a nuisance for other gym goers. Evening, he'll deadlift 600 pounds and he'll scream off the top of his lungs so everyone could hear him. I mean, that's not, that's not appropriate per se, but it's still, people would just look at him and says, "What's wrong with you?"
Yeah.
He hurt himself on for Instagram.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of people, there are people that are out there like that where they'll make sure, like, I'm letting you know I'm having a hard workout over here by like you screaming my guts out and grunting really loud or moaning really loud. It's like, okay, not everybody wants to hear that. Like, I'm sure you can bring that decibel down a little bit. You can bring it down from a high level of a 10, bring it down to about a 3. Like, I know that there are moments where you feel like you're like, whew, or something like that, but you don't have to like, whoa. It's like people can
Right.
be
And that,
pretty loud.
and another one is slamming their barbells on the ground so it echoes through the whole fitness center.
Mm,
That's another pet peeve.
yeah. True. Yeah, that would be a pet peeve of mine as well. Like if I keep hearing somebody just slamming it down, it's like, okay, like that's gonna be a little annoying hearing that constantly. If I just walked in here and I'm just now hearing that and I'm gonna hear that for a while, it's gonna be pretty annoying. So
Right.
um
You can't slowly if you can't slowly put your fitness equipment down, you're lifting too much weight.
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
It's,
you
it's very distracting.
hmm Yeah, definitely. And another thing that you brought up is, how you said there's somebody there that sometimes they'll hold a conversation with you for a long time. And I think people need to be even more mindful of that too, is that like not everybody is at the gym for 5 hours of their day. Like some people and maybe only have a short window period. Some people maybe are only there for just an hour, and you probably just took that whole opportunity from them getting to work out because you're there just wanting to talk to somebody about just a whole bunch of nothing. And it just gets you to where you just feel like, okay, well, all I did was I came here and just talked to somebody. Now I had to go back and and then that may even make you not want to go to the gym, or maybe makes you want to move to another gym. So it just it could definitely do no good for the other person when people aren't mindful of even that situation too.
Yeah, like I said, it's very, again, it's very distracting, and most people go there to focus on their goals, and they're not there to be distracted by someone trying to socialize with them. If you want to socialize in a gym, go elsewhere. Go to you know, go to a park or go outside the gym.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's good, to bring up is that, it very much is like all of these things that we brought up, it could bring a big distraction in our workout journey. And, people just need to be more mindful of all of these areas that, there's not everybody is there to, not everybody wants to be like, this person has a very extroverted and like just wants to talk to people. Some people are actually there to reach their goals and they want to use all of their time to perfect themselves or like to get to where they reach their goals and to get all of their workouts in. And you just being there is like almost like a stumbling block. It's stopping you from reaching your goals quicker because you are having to focus on talking to somebody who's just giving you very basic level, surface level conversations about a whole bunch of nothing. And then it's like, all right, I could be spending my time over there at the machine or over there lifting weights, but here I am taking this time away to talk to somebody, and that's not what I paid for. That's not what my membership is for. So like you said, a park or something like that, like a just any kind of class, where it's maybe more of an intimate, lower, like a smaller class of people that are maybe in there. But yeah, gym, people, let's be more mindful.
Yep, I agree.
So, I guess my final question is actually just more of a preference question. So, my question is, do you prefer doing your workouts during the morning time or nighttime? I know you actually probably do it during both, but is there one that you would prefer one over the other?
Most of the time I prefer nighttime because if I go to the gym during daytime, I give myself more excuse to overeat afterwards. Um, on weekends, I would go every once in a while. I would go to the gym in the morning, and then afterwards, you feel so hungry, you end up eating a lot more than you need to, and end up and you'll say to yourself, "Well, you know what? I worked out today, so I have every reason to eat, I have every reason to snack." Well, guess what? That leads to overeating, and that kind of defeats your goal of I want to lose weight or I want to be fitter, leaner. So I make it so I go to the gym at nighttime. So when I come home, I get a shower, and by then it's bedtime, so I just go to sleep.
Yeah, yeah, that's a very good reason to do workouts during the night. Um I feel like I could see it from both sides. Like I feel like I've done it during the morning times and I've fallen in that exact trap that you're talking about as far as like overeating. Like I'll tell myself like, well you did some exercise today, you deserve a reward, you deserve a good meal and then here I go. I start eating it, and then it defeated the whole purpose of me waking up early to go do it.
Right. And so it's almost self-defeating, you know, mechanism.
Yeah, that's been a struggle for me because I already hated enough like getting up early, but then trying to get up earlier to go to the gym, and then basically defeating that whole purpose of waking up earlier to go to the gym before you work. It it could be very I can have a very like defeated attitude. And that's exactly where I was a year ago, where I had that defeated attitude. Like I've been going to the gym for 2 months. I haven't lost a single pound. Gee, I wonder why. Because I'm going to the workouts and then I later in the day I start eating just whatever, thinking that like, oh, you worked out, you're good. but it's a very bad pattern to fall into, and I'm glad that it took me almost 30 years of my life to realize that.
Yeah, yeah, that's another thing. Diet plays another big factor in workout. If you're not eating right, just because you go to gym and work out doesn't mean you'll lose weight or reach your fitness goal.
Yeah, very true. Yeah, someone once told me that as much it is important to work out and exercise, of course, but I feel like it's even more important to like watch what you eat, because I heard that like 80% is like what you eat, your diet and stuff like that, whereas the other 20% is workout and exercise. And I'm not saying that it means that workout and exercise is not as important, but I guess like maybe your priority should be, like definitely have that workout and exercise, pattern, that healthy pattern, but at the same time, reward yourself, but like reward yourself in a way to where it's not to where you're not eating this unhealthy stuff to where you're defeating the whole purpose of like the whole getting to your goal of like losing weight and stuff like that. So I think that that's something that
Right.
I even had to tell myself too. Like I do basically I'm doing like 100% like trying to eat better, but then like 0% workout and exercise. It's like you can't do one without the other. But it's like I keep trying to convince myself to like I don't want to go to the gym, but it's like but a lot of it has to do with just getting up early. So maybe I should try the nighttime workouts.
Yeah. And that's another thing. People count calories or they look at food like, oh, I need to avoid certain types of food or I need to eat a certain way. I mean, calories, calories. But the key is avoid simple carbs.
Hmm.
So if you could find ways to replace, I wouldn't go as extreme as fasting or like starving yourself because none of us like that. None of us like starving ourselves.
Hmm.
So, and the consequence of that is we end up overeat once we get off that fasting phase. And when we overeat, we just relapse. We just go back to our original self. So, instead of doing fasting, I would do substitutes. Like instead, like, I love ice cream. So I started replacing my ice cream with either keto ice cream or frozen yogurt. And just to get that. So number one, you're getting that fix. You're rewarding yourself with something that's like that's similar to ice cream. And number two, that's is a lot healthier, less sugary, and it's actually like has good bacteria for your system.
Yeah, that's a good example to bring up that like, many people forget that like nowadays there's so many like options and alternatives when it comes to like having something that resembles or is very similar to something that's unhealthy that we love. So like I know one thing that we mentioned before we started this episode was you mentioned about like pasta. Like that's like a weakness that I feel like both of us can relate to, but like you mentioned how
Oh,
like you can do like wheat, whole wheat, and like you can add that into your pasta instead. And like even though the texture may be different, it's still like better for you. And I'm sure the taste of it is still, good, really good still.
it's really different than white pasta. It just you just have to tell yourself you're doing this for your health. You're doing this to reach that fitness goal.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. You're trying to get to
Bad.
some end goal at the end of the day.
Right. I mean, whole wheat pasta doesn't taste bad. It's just it takes a little bit of getting used to, and over time it becomes part of your diet. And that's nowadays that's what I prefer. I mean, like I love white pasta, don't get me wrong. Um, every once in a while I'll reward myself with white pasta because it just tastes sweeter. But most of the time I make it a habit of eating whole wheat or whole grain pasta. Um, and to substitute my desserts, I consume oatmeal products like granola. Um, and instead of putting any sweetener in there, I put raisins and cranberries,
Hmm.
to get that nap fruit sweetener.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So yeah, that just goes to show that there's many different ways that you can substitute different things, put some places like put the good things in place of the bad things and still and be able to enjoy eating, but like just eating healthier and like I said, it's definitely gonna be better for your body all around, whether it's like we mentioned our your digestive system or just like just the external, part of your body, you may look even better long term. So there's just different things that you can do to where you don't have to starve yourself and you don't have to go through some kind of like fasting. And then because like usually, like Gary said, usually if you go into one of those fastings, well, as soon as the fasting is over, then like you start overeating because you're so hungry. And then you get into this, whole mindset that, is that defeats like your whole goal. Like, you get into the mindset of like, oh, I just want to eat this, and then it's like, okay, well then you're gonna get right back from where you started. You're gonna be back at square one. So there's definitely a healthier way and a definitely more a better alternative and options that you can make nowadays compared to just trying to starve yourself. So I think that's a really good thing to bring up as well during this topic on like working out and exercising.
yeah, I mean, you definitely had to, work out and then eat right. And another is sleep. You gotta get adequate sleep. You can't pull an all-nighter and work out because your bodies will shut down.
Hmm. Yeah, sleep is a good one to bring up too. That like, people don't realize that like you really do need a healthy level of sleep, a healthy amount of sleep, within your daily, like just each day. Like people may think like, oh, okay, well I can, sleep and not work out. Well, that's me like having a healthier lifestyle. No, that's not how it works. You got to add it all together. You can't just you can't just
Yeah,
add like, 3 plus 0 plus 0 equals 5. Like, no, you gotta actually put more effort into each area and actually make it work to where long term it's going to help you and have a healthier lifestyle. So don't take this end of this topic and just think, oh, okay, well they said you could sleep better, so that's going to be what I'm going to do. No, you got to do sleep and the other things involved. You got to be sure you're eating right and actually doing some exercising and working out. That's the whole point of this topic.
right. It has to be a balance because every once in a while I find myself going to the gym and get carried away. I was staying in the gym longer than I need to, but I got to tell myself, okay, it's past 9:30 at night. I gotta get back home and sleep so I can wake up the next morning. And so you got to balance your fitness routine, along with your diets and then your sleep routine. You gotta get adequate. You gotta get adequate on all three of them.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, yeah, like you said, there's a good balance that like, people need to, fall like try to find that perfect balance and like making sure they apply that to their lives on a daily. And too often, we fall off the tracks, but all we can do is just, remember to pick ourselves back up and just keep on at it. Like don't give up on your dreams when it comes to your workout and exercise like goals. Like what are you doing it for? Just remind yourself of what you're doing it for, like whether you're trying to lose weight, whether you're trying to get a lot more toned and a lot more in shape, and just constantly remind yourself, why am I doing this? I don't um just don't ever let any kind of obstacle bring you down. There's many ways to make your goals that you feel like that are impossible. There's like ways to make that a reality if you just really put your mind, heart, and soul into it.
Yes, absolutely. You're right on that.
So, anyways, I think that is actually going to end this topic on workout and exercise. It was definitely good getting to talk about this and even just even with me, like talking about stuff that I feel like I struggle with even to this day. And it's good like having somebody like you that, has a little bit more experience with this area that can be able to provide like some advice or even just healthy habits that you have created in your own life. So I definitely appreciated you being on here today.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Yes, absolutely. It was definitely good having you, and I've definitely enjoyed having my viewers here on as well, whether you are listening to this on any of the podcast streaming platforms or whether you are watching this from YouTube or even my Instagram page at Not Your Average Joel. I definitely appreciate your support any and every way possible. So anyways, everybody. I hope that y'all have an amazing rest of your day or night, depending on when you're watching or listening to this. And I will see y'all here on the next episode of Not Your Average Joe. I'll talk to y'all later.
Take care. God bless.
Thank you, everybody that took the time to listen to this episode of Not Your Average Joel. My podcast is available not only on YouTube, but also on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcast from. I also have an Instagram page where you can see outstanding moments, behind the scenes, and even a funny moment or two from each episode at Not Your Average Joel Podcast. If you want to get in contact with me, then my Instagram page is probably the best way to do so through direct messaging. I appreciate any kind of support that you have given to this channel, whether you are a guest or a listener to this podcast. Once again, I thank y'all so much, and I look forward to sharing more of my life with y'all on the next episode of Not Your Average Joel. Goodbye.